I find myself at times mesmerized by the presence of art. As I walk into museums or galleries, not only do I analyze the pieces but the people as well. I wonder to myself, what interpretations are they coming up with as they look at these pieces? How do these pieces make them feel? Can I find a connection with them somehow because of art? The answer is most likely. Art is a way to make us feel human. The connection between the artist, when they make the piece, then transfers to an individual, eventually an audience. This strong connection is what makes art so influential and impactful. As I visited LACMA, two pieces I found myself interested in were Victor Bronner's piece Suicide at Dawn and Diego Rivera's piece Portrait of Frida Kahlo. The first piece is called Suicide at Dawn, made in the year 1930. In the center of this piece, made by Victor Bronner, by oil on canvas, we are faced with something that might be considered disturbing: a man going through another man's body. It is something that catches the audience's eye. Well, for me it did. These are two different bodies from the same person. This painting was made at the beginning of the Second World War. It was made during Victor Bronner's transition to Paris. According to WikiArt, in Paris, Bronner met André Breton and other painters in the Surrealist movement whose works he already knew. Works like Suicide at Dawn show that he already achieved the Surrealist goal to give visual expression to the inner reality of dreams, fantasy, and the unconscious. Victor Bronner was born in Piatra Neamț, Romania. Born into a family of 6 children, he faced poverty during his childhood. He was first interested in writing, as according to the art story, wrote on memories of his father who, interested in spiritualism, organized hypnosis sessions with famous mediums during which they communicated with spirits in other realms. This would soon manifest in his transition to art, as we can see this influence on many of his pieces. One man's body is skin, while the other is flesh with a bright red. Something that is noticeable is that the one with flesh and blood skin has eyes, staring right at the audience, while the one with skin is just plain white. It could be interpreted that the one with the eyes is the soul, while the other body is soulless. There is a saying that the eyes are the windows to the soul. In many religions, when we die, our physical body may be gone. However, it is our soul and spirit that leaves the body. It either goes to heaven or hell. We can see that the one with the soul, the tone of his legs is more skin-like than his torso. One can tell it is flesh, as there is blood dripping out of his hands, and there are stains on the skin's body. We can see how fit the figure is based on the lines. For example, the ribs. We can see how skinny the figure is because of his ribs. When we look at his legs and arms, seeing the use of line color, we can see that the figure has a strong body. Now, as we focus on the background, based on the title, it is taking place during dawn time. The bodies are placed in the middle of darkness, pitch black. It fades on the top of what looks like the sky with clouds as the bottom looks like the ground. The middle seems like it is the void. The body seems like it is floating within this void, there being no sense of stability. As the title states, this is a suicide at dawn. The action of suicide is death committed on oneself. However, in this painting, we see that there are 2 figures shown. The red figure can symbolize the side of the man that he hides. This side may be the one full of suicidal thoughts and more of a state of depression. We see that is halfway to the actual physical body, signifying that this person is actually not fully dead. It may be that he is battling this side of himself, and that there is still hope for life despite this void he is placed in. With suicide and mental health being such a taboo subject at the time, it is no surprise this piece was considered controversial. The second piece I found captivating was Diego Rivera's piece, The Portrait of Frida Kahlo, made in 1939 by oil on asbesto cement shingle. The caption states, "This is Diego Rivera's only known easel portrait of artist Frida Kahlo, whom he married in 1929. It is strikingly similar to Kahlo's own self-portrait in its bright palette and direct frontal address. The work likely dates from the late 1930s, the period when they were briefly divorced before remarrying in 1940. Rivera kept the painting in his studio where it was found at the time of his death." In many art pieces, the concept of love is rooted in the motives and reasonings as to why an artist creates the piece in the first place. When it comes to the artist Diego Rivera, Frida Kahlo was his muse when it came to his pieces. Diego Rivera was born in Guanajuato, Mexico in 1886. He pursued art at a very young age, later on moving to Europe to pursue art where he met other artists such as Pablo Picasso. Being interested in communist ideals, many of his works, mostly murals, consisted of politics, which Frida also followed as well. It is through the bonds of politics and art that made their love much stronger. There is a saying that goes, "Blue and green should never be seen without another color in between." With blue and green being the colors in the background, that saying reflects upon Frida and Diego's relationship. In order to make green, blue and yellow must mix together. We could say that in the center, being Frida, consisted of shades of yellow. We can see this transition of blue, yellow, and green. Frida and Diego's relationship since the beginning was bumpy. With already a right age difference, with their first meeting when Frida was 15 and Diego 36, it is no surprise that their relationship was not going to be easy. Diego already had 2 marriages, was known for having affairs, and had kids himself. However, that did not stop Frida from pursuing him. As they were together, they traveled the world with art by their side. However, in both individuals did they act upon infidelity. Frida suffered through multiple miscarriages, not being able to have a kid due to her health problems from a bus accident and battling with polio at a young age. They then divorced, however remarried a year later. Their relationship was known as the elephant and the dove because of their differences in size. There is a form of roughness within the lines and brush strokes when it comes to how it is painted found in this portrait of Frida. Perhaps it reflects upon how strong and tough Frida's personality was. When it comes to the light, bright palettes were used in similarity to Kahlo's own work. When we look at this piece, we know it is Frida. From her unique feature of having a unibrow, at the time being far from the beauty standards, her blank expression never found smiling in any of her portraits. It is what made her special. It is what made Diego attracted to her. According to context, he preferred that she wear traditional feminine Mexican clothing instead of European fashion to show her allegiance to the people, and liked her hair long in spite of Kahlo feeling more masculine. In later paintings, she resisted these ideas, depicting herself with shorter hair, donning a strut or having facial hair, in part to challenge Rivera's toxic masculinity. Diego found himself falling in love with something he hated. Love is a complicated thing. In today's society, there seems to be talks about what is considered a healthy relationship. As we analyze Frida and Diego's relationship, it is only what we hear and see that forms our judgment, that it looks like their relationship would be considered toxic. However, the only people who truly know what their love was is Diego and Frida themselves. These pieces, very contrasted from one another, still both have one thing in common: connection. Connection within art, connection through those times of despair, connection through ourselves, and connection through others. As the people around me in this museum look at these art pieces on the wall, as we analyze the same pieces, we all have different interpretations based on our own experiences. We still strive for that connection despite these differences. We still strive for that common ground. We cannot survive this world alone. It is through love and laughter, the beauty behind chaos and aloneness, that makes us human. We want to see a part of ourselves when we see these pieces. We all do this as we walk into a museum, these pieces on the wall. An act that is silent yet strong. This is art. itself.